After buying my sister a house when she lost everything, showed up to visit and she slammed the door in my face, screaming, "You're just here to gloat." I tried to explain, but my mother stepped in and said, "You shouldn't have expected gratitude anyway." I drove home that night wondering why I ever tried. 1 year later, that same house was in foreclosure and they were begging me for one last favor. I'm 42 years old. My name's Eric. I live just outside Dayton, Ohio. I've spent my whole life working construction mostly. Started out as a laborer in my early 20s and worked my way up to foreman. Now I run crews on big commercial jobs. I've never been rich, but I've always been steady. I pay my bills, fix my own truck, and keep my yard clean. I've never been anyone's favorite. Not even in my own family. That spot's always belonged to my little sister, Megan. Megan's 5 years younger than me. We were raised by a single mom who did her best, but she always saw Megan as the one who needed more. More time. More money. More patience. When Megan crashed her first car at 17, my mom bought her a new one the next month. When I cracked a rib on a job site at 18, I had to walk home and tape it up myself. That pretty much sums up our childhood. Still, I didn't hate her. I figured that's just how it was. Some people get the soft landings. I wasn't one of them. I moved out at 19, started working full-time, and slowly built a life. Bought a used truck, then a house. Took years, but I finally got a little ahead. Megan, though? She floated. One dead-end job after another. 2 failed relationships. A kid with a guy who disappeared 6 months after Caleb was born. No judgment, I know life's messy, but she never once tried to stand on her own 2 feet. She always had someone to save her. Usually Mom. Then 2 summers ago, I got a call from Mom at 2 a.m. Megan's rental had caught fire. Faulty wiring. She and Caleb got out, thank God, but everything inside was gone. She had no insurance. Her boyfriend at the time ghosted her within a week. She had nowhere to go. So of course, she and Caleb moved into Mom's 2-bedroom apartment. Caleb slept in a pile of blankets on the floor of Megan's old bedroom. Mom called me crying 3 times that week, saying Megan was falling apart. "She's got nothing, Eric," she said. "You don't understand what it's like for her." That last line hit me wrong. I didn't understand. But fine. I kept my mouth shut. I told her I'd think about what I could do. Over the next few days, I ran numbers. I looked at my savings. I had just enough. So I did something I never thought I would do. I bought a house. Not for me. For her. It was a fixer-upper on the east side of town. 3 beds, 1 bath, decent backyard for Caleb. Needed paint and some work on the furnace, but it was solid. I paid cash. Put it in my name. No loans. No rent. Just wanted them safe. When I gave her the keys, she cried. Said she didn't deserve it. Said she'd never forget what I'd done. I should have known better. For the first few months, everything seemed fine. We didn't talk much, but I'd hear updates from Mom. Caleb liked the backyard. Megan was trying to get back on her feet. She got a part-time job at a daycare. Things were quiet. Then, one Saturday 9 months later, I stopped by. I hadn't been to the house since she moved in. I brought a backpack for Caleb, filled with some stuff he liked: books, a few toys, school supplies. I also grabbed a bag of groceries, snacks, some fruit, juice boxes. Figured it'd be a nice surprise. When I got there, the lawn was overgrown. Trash bags were stacked on the porch. An old mattress leaned against the side of the house. I knocked. Megan answered. Her face changed the second she saw me. She didn't say, "Hi." She didn't smile. She said, "You're just here to gloat." Then she slammed the door. I stood there, stunned. I knocked again, slower this time. A few seconds later, the door opened, but it wasn't her. It was Mom. She stepped out onto the porch, arms crossed, like I was the problem. "Eric," she said, "you shouldn't have expected gratitude anyway. She's going through a lot. Just let her be." Then she shut the door too. I stood there for a minute. No one came back. I dropped the backpack on the porch and left. On the way home, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt drained. Like someone had stuck a hole in my chest and all the air had leaked out. I didn't hear from either of them for a while after that. But about 3 months later, I started getting calls. From the bank. See, I'd put the house in my name, but I'd told Megan she'd have to take over the bills eventually. Water. Gas. Electric. Property taxes. I gave her a year of no rent, no utilities, nothing. I paid it all up front. But now those bills were piling up. And worse, she hadn't paid the property taxes for the upcoming year. Then I found out she wasn't even living there alone anymore. Her new boyfriend, some guy named Troy, had moved in. He had a record. Drugs. Theft. Some neighbors filed a complaint after they threw a loud party and someone puked in their bushes. That was when I left a letter on the fridge during one of the times she wasn't home. I told her she had 30 days to clean it up. To pay what she owed. To get serious. She never replied. So I started the paperwork. I contacted a lawyer. Started the foreclosure process, quietly. Gave notice through proper channels. My name was still on the title. She hadn't paid a dime. I wasn't going to let the house rot while she trashed it. Fast forward to a year after I handed her the keys. On the anniversary, I get a text. "Can we talk? Please. It's important." I didn't respond. 2 days later, another one. "The house is in foreclosure." I didn't know how to manage everything. I didn't mean to let it get this far. "Can you please help us? One last time? For Caleb's sake?" Then came the call from Mom. Same script. "Eric, she's made mistakes, but Caleb hasn't. You're not really going to let them lose the house, are you?" I didn't answer. Because by then, the house wasn't in foreclosure. It was already mine again. And I had plans. I didn't reply to Megan's text. I didn't call my mom back either. I drove over to the house instead. I wanted to see it one last time before I made the next move. When I pulled up, the yard looked worse than ever. Trash bags spilled out of the bins. One of the windows was cracked. The screen door was hanging crooked, like it had been kicked. I parked and walked up the porch steps. Troy answered the door. Shirtless. He reeked of beer and weed. He looked me up and down like I was bothering him. "Yeah," he said, not even trying to hide the attitude. "I'm here for Megan," I said. "She's not here." "You mind if I take a look around?" He laughed. "Yeah. I mind. You can come back when she's home. I own this house." "No," he said, smirking, "she owns this house." "No. She doesn't." I pulled a folded piece of paper from my back pocket and held it up. "Foreclosure finalized last week. I'm taking possession in 48 hours." He stared at it for a second. His eyes moved side to side like he was reading. Then he threw his arms up and walked back inside. "Megan," he yelled. I walked in behind him. The place smelled like a mix of cat pee and mildew. Empty pizza boxes, beer cans, ashtrays everywhere. It looked like a college frat house if nobody cleaned it for 6 months. Megan came around the corner in pajama pants and a stained hoodie. Her hair was a mess. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. She froze when she saw me. "Eric. You got my letter," I said. Her face twisted. "You didn't have to actually go through with it. I warned you." "I didn't think you'd really do it," she said, voice shaking. I didn't answer. "I have nowhere to go." "You had somewhere to go. You ruined it." She stepped closer. Her voice got louder. "I was trying my best. Do you have any idea what it's like being a single mom? Working all day, barely sleeping at night? I needed help. I gave you a house," I said. She opened her mouth, then shut it. She looked away. I waited a beat. Then said, "You have 48 hours. After that, I'm changing the locks." She looked like she wanted to hit me. Her fists balled up at her sides. But she didn't say anything. I turned around and left. That night, Mom called again. This time, she was angry. "How dare you do this to your own sister?" "I warned her," I said. "She's not perfect, Eric. She's family. You don't do this to family." "No, Mom," I said, "family doesn't do this to me." She hung up. 2 days later, I came back with the locksmith. The house was empty. Not just of people, everything was gone. Carpets ripped up. Light fixtures missing. Even the fridge. They'd stripped it. My jaw locked as I stepped through the front door. The smell was still there. But now the place looked like a skeleton. Wires dangled from where ceiling fans used to be. The thermostat had been yanked off the wall. I walked into Caleb's room and saw the mural I'd painted over a year ago half covered in black marker. "Screw you" was scrawled across one wall. On the bedroom door, someone had carved "thief" into the wood. They didn't just leave. They made sure I knew how they felt. I stood in that empty room for a long time. Then I pulled out my phone, took photos, and emailed them to my lawyer. I pressed charges for destruction of property. Then I listed the house. But I didn't sell it to just anyone. I waited. The house sat on the market for a few weeks. A couple investors showed interest, but I wasn't in a rush. I wanted to be deliberate about this. One afternoon, I got a call from a woman named Jackie. She'd seen the listing online and said she was interested. Newly single mom. 2 little girls. Needed a fresh start. We met at the property the next day. She walked the place slowly. Noticed the missing fixtures. The patched walls. She didn't ask a ton of questions. Just stood in Caleb's old room for a while, quiet. Then she turned to me and said, "This place needs work, but I think we could build something here." I liked her instantly. She reminded me of someone who never got a handout but would never waste one either. We agreed on a sale price. Not a penny more than what I paid for it. No profit. No loss. Just clean. A week later, the sale was final. I signed over the house. 2 days after that, I got a message from Megan. "Did you seriously evict us and then sell the house to someone else?" I didn't respond. 2 hours later, another one came in. "You're trash, Eric. You didn't do this for Caleb. You did this to feel powerful." Still didn't respond. Then she called. I let it go to voicemail. "I don't care if we don't talk again, but you better pray I don't tell Caleb what kind of man his uncle really is." That was the moment something in me snapped. Because what she didn't know was that a week earlier, Caleb had called me. From a borrowed phone. He said, "Uncle Eric, I miss my room. I asked him where they were staying. He said they were in someone's basement. He said Troy yells a lot. I told him I'd see what I could do. And I had. I sent CPS an anonymous report. Mentioned the drugs. The instability. Troy's record. I didn't know if they'd do anything. But it felt like something I had to try. Then something happened I didn't expect. Mom called. Her voice was quiet. Shaky. I need to tell you something, she said. I waited. I kicked Megan out 2 nights ago. I found Caleb crying in the bathroom. Said Troy shoved him. I felt like the floor dropped out. She told me I was choosing you over her, Mom said. I told her this wasn't about you. It was about her not protecting her son. I didn't say anything. I just listened. Then she said, I don't know where she is now. But Caleb's with me. And I don't think she's coming back. A week later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just my name, handwritten. Inside was a photo of me and Megan from when we were kids. Halloween, 1993. I was dressed as a firefighter. She was a princess. There was a note on the back. You were supposed to be my hero. Nothing else. That photo sat on my kitchen table for days. Every time I passed it, something inside me twisted. I kept flipping it over, reading the back like it might change. Like maybe it would say something different if I stared long enough. But it didn't. You were supposed to be my hero. I wasn't even sure what that meant anymore. A week went by. Then 2. Then one morning, Mom called again. She sounded different. Calm. Resigned. She came by, she said. I didn't ask who. She asked for Caleb. Wanted to take him. I stayed quiet. I said no. Told her CPS had already been here twice. That I wasn't letting him go until someone official said it was safe. What did she do? I asked. She broke a lamp, Mom said. Then she just left. I hung up and sat in the silence. I wanted to feel angry again. Wanted to feel justified. But all I felt was empty. 3 days later, I got another call. This time, from Caleb's school. They said Megan showed up unannounced. She wasn't on the pickup list anymore, but she tried to take him anyway. A teacher stepped in. The police were called. No one was hurt. But they issued a temporary restraining order. That was the last straw. I got in my truck and drove to Mom's apartment. Caleb was on the couch watching cartoons. He looked up and ran to hug me the second I walked in. Can I come stay with you, Uncle Eric? That hit harder than anything else had. Mom stood behind him, eyes red. He doesn't even ask for her anymore, she whispered. He just asks if you're coming. That night, I sat down at the kitchen table again. The photo was still there. I flipped it one last time. You were supposed to be my hero. And I finally understood it. Megan didn't want a brother. She wanted a savior. Someone who'd keep fixing her mistakes no matter how many she made. Someone who'd absorb the damage. Someone who'd never hold her accountable. And maybe I did want to be that guy once. Maybe I liked being needed. Maybe I liked being the one who could afford to step in. But I wasn't her hero. I wasn't anyone's hero. Not anymore. I filed for full custody of Caleb 2 weeks later. Megan didn't show up to the hearing. She never filed a response. The judge granted guardianship without much debate. Caleb would stay with me. Mom would have visitation. I bought a new house. Bigger. In a better school district. Caleb got his own room, new bed, a wall full of books and toys. He asked me once why his mom didn't come around anymore. I didn't lie. I said, she's got things to figure out. When she does, she might come back. He nodded. Then said, okay. Can we play catch now? 3 months after the custody ruling, I saw her again. I was at the grocery store. Pushing a cart. Had Caleb with me. We were in the cereal aisle. She came around the corner, thin, pale, eyes sunken in. She froze when she saw us. Caleb didn't even recognize her at first. Then he said, Mom? She walked up slow. Hey, baby, she whispered. I've missed you. He stepped behind me, clutching my hand. Said nothing. She looked at me. There was no rage in her eyes this time. No bitterness. Just defeat. You win, she said. You always win. I didn't say a word. She reached out to touch Caleb's shoulder. He flinched. That broke her. She turned and walked away without another word. And that was the last time we ever saw her. Now it's been 2 years. Caleb's thriving. Straight A's. Soccer team. He calls me dad half the time without realizing it. I never corrected him. As for me, I still think about that photo sometimes. About the words on the back. You were supposed to be my hero. Maybe I was. But sometimes heroes don't save everyone. Sometimes they save the one who still has a chance.